Indeed. So last week on Friday, we had a digital baraza on mental health, and we're raising the whole issue about the state of our mental health and how to address it. There's a law in place, we have experts in place, but how are we dealing with it? And then as a reaction to that, there's also the conversation that emerged that there's maternal mental health that we can talk about, and also because also this it's related to the month that we are in. What's maternal mental health?
The way I understand it is the emotional and physical well-being of a mother post-birth.
Post-birth?
Post-birth. During, actually. It's actually during and after. During and after birth.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, there's a sort of romanticization of motherhood, which I think catches a lot of people off guard. When you really think about it, the body has gone through so much change, the mind has gone through so much change, even as you're carrying a pregnancy. Also not forgetting that a lot of women struggle during pregnancy. Some of them are on bed rest for 9 months, right? So pregnancy is different for everyone. But what is the equal factor is that it will change your mind and your body. Like, that is where we become one. The journeys might be different, but the destination and what happens thereafter. Now, sometimes, again, the motherhood journey for some is, for some reason, it's just with ease and beauty. But even then, I think the mental aspect is the shift in what's happened in your life, in your body, in your community. The romanticizing can be dangerous because it is romanticized. And I'm always the person, I remember saying this to Mariam, I talk about it being hard, not bad. It's a difference. And I don't stop talking about how hard motherhood is. It doesn't mean it's bad. As somebody who is a mother by choice, I completely am grateful that I am a mom. But I also am aware of how much it shifts you mentally. It shifts your support system. There's sometimes the psychosis that comes with maternal mental health, and bouts of anxiety, postpartum depression, baby blues. I know we touched on it briefly with Professor Lukoi, where baby blues, I think they said 85% or 80% of women go through baby blues. You're just very disoriented. The first month, you're so disoriented. You're like, wait, everybody just pause. Your body, your mind, everything, your sleeping patterns. So it's a bit disorienting. It should last about 2 to 3 weeks. If it goes beyond that, it starts seeping into depression. Then remember, there's other factors like poverty. There's other factors like lack of community. So maternal mental health, it's important that even as Mother's Day, it's this Sunday, I believe, as somebody who's been a mother for 10 years, and I'm like, ni Sunday, it's Sunday. It's also good to speak to what is the community. How does the community respond to mothers? The community and the society hasn't done a great job of allowing institutions and sectors to adjust. I know adjust might be a big word, but to adapt around motherhood. So a lot of the time, you move in motherhood with guilt. You move in motherhood with shame. You move in motherhood with the inability to maybe provide as you would hope to. And you move in motherhood without your mental health being validated. So it's a critical conversation. It shouldn't be scary. It should just be, hey, let's talk about maternal mental health. A friend of mine had a baby shower 6 years ago, and everybody was removing like little cute gifts, like, oh, it's a tutu, and it was great. I'd just been a mom a year. I came out with maternity pads, breast pads, so everyone went quiet. Cotton wool. You know, what is it called? Spirit. That was now my gift in a bow, but that was my gift. Then the first thing I said is, when you leave the hospital, you and your baby will leave in diapers. Again, silence. Number 2, I think I was exhaling. So later she called me. She's like, first, are you okay? Second, tell me more. And we're still very good friends. And she says, I appreciate how you just gave me a reality check. You took away you still celebrated with me the romantic part of the tutus and all the cute things, but then you also went to realistically what happens in your body. And then I gave her a referral for a psychologist to be like, just call. You know, before you spiral, or if you think you're going to be prone to spiraling, because you are bound, you already have are predisposed to anxiety, which is what she had. I say, just call somebody. Anyway, that's my exhale. Imetoka.
No, but thank you for sharing, Janet, because I think it's important to be honest about motherhood. I think growing up, a lot of our perception of childbirth and motherhood was that childbirth is the hard part. And the hardest and the end all be all. It's painful, but that's it. And then after that, you're good. You see the baby, you reset, you love them and you forget and that's it. And then you find out that no. And I know we have some stats on what exactly maternal mental health looks like in the country. Perinatal depression, which is depression around the time of childbirth, is a disorder that has its onset during pregnancy or up to 1 year postpartum. A study conducted in rural Kenya showed the prevalence at 11%, and that's just perinatal. Antepartum, which is the time period before childbirth, was at 8% among women during COVID. In Nairobi's Langata and Riruta maternal and child health clinics, postpartum depression prevalence was at 27.1% among mothers 6 to 10 weeks postpartum. So that's already going past that window you gave us of 2 to 3 weeks, right? They're depressed 6 to 10 weeks postpartum, 27.1%. And even as we know these statistics, I think it's important to know that this might be underreporting because sometimes you don't know that you're depressed or you don't want to say it out loud to someone coming and asking you, you know, are you depressed? Postpartum in low and middle income countries ranges from 17 to 20%. And it affects 1 in 5 Kenyan mothers, but most cases go undiagnosed. That's already a scary
That's
statistic.
already scary. And then the community around, Eric, before you come in, it's also, how is the partner or support system also being transitioned into this journey? Because they're just as jarred, right? Like if you say you have a boyfriend or husband, he's just like, I don't know. I want to help you. I don't know how to. And then if you don't have a partner, if you have a community, whether it's your sister, auntie, it needs to be a community experience. Almost if you are the one who's expecting, carry your people with you when you're going for whatever sessions or classes so that you have people who can empathize to some extent. Otherwise, you're a bother, you know? And so a lot of people also don't end up asking for help. Sorry, Nat, if you're going to say something.
I think it's important that we all understand that this happens, right? But also to seek to understand, so what support structures are there? Community level and also organized structures at government level. So one knows, even as you're going, you see, during antenatal visits, you're going into hospital for the clinics. Are the health workers well equipped to actually tell if you are getting into depression before birth? Can they tell that you're predisposed to this and you're currently going through something that could be it? Because what we're saying is the antepartum depression is at 8% just during COVID period. But normally it's at around 11%. That's a very high percentage of women. Now, how can the system detect this and offer support during this? Because maybe some of those cases of that depression and all would also be the ones that lead to now what we see as hypertensive disorders before pregnancy, which end up with very many things happening. Either stillbirths, either
preeclampsia.
Preeclampsia happening. So you have those preterm babies born and all. What are the contributing factors to all this? A study conducted by some scientists from Kenya and Finland and I think Ethiopia, led by some doctors at Aga Khan University Hospital a couple of years back, found that among those factors include just diet as well. And what you're actually giving as dietary supplements could cause all these problems that lead to preeclampsia, but also that could also affect the mental health of the mother. How are our systems organized to know this? How are communities organized to actually know this? So that you know that, well, this is what's going on, this is what's likely to happen. This girl has given birth to a baby. This is our research here is showing among adolescent girls, over 46% are likely to have depressive episodes. So 46% of adolescent girls, you can see very many reasons why this would come. So what support system are we actually offering? Are we still saying, you know, what are we doing when we do that to that particular girl? And the worst part of it is that how it's affecting the baby that she's carrying.
What does it look like? I think of programs like Linda Mama, and sometimes I worry that we've not gotten the basics. And I don't want to say that maternal mental health isn't a basic, but we haven't figured out how to make childbirth safe and accessible for all moms in Kenya first, before anything else. Before I can ask, does Linda Mama have some social support, some psycho support. I'll ask, is Linda Mama working? Are our child mortality rates down to almost zero? Are our maternal mortality rates down to almost zero? Then I can be like, okay, do we have structures for psychosocial support for moms? Do we have the things that allow us to be able to tell, hey, mom, are you doing okay? Are you not okay? How's baby? Not just how's baby, but how are you? So I really do wonder how we attack both at the same time, from a structural perspective, from a health perspective. How do we fund healthcare? But I will say that for me, one really low-hanging fruit is community. Not that, having community will mean that you're not predisposed to depression or that you don't suffer depression, whether postpartum or prepartum. But I do think that it definitely could help. I'm looking through some of the factors that predispose one, and it's a difficult pregnancy and childbirth phase. Those are structural issues, right? You should have support through that from a cost perspective, from a healthcare provision perspective, from a family or community perspective, right? Social support and relationships, that part, that's something we can do for one another. When we say it takes a village, then we actually have to be the village, if we're being honest. We have to be the village.
Otherwise, it's a very isolating. It's basically, you're lucky. It's you figure out who is your community, who's your village. If you have one, great. If you don't, I wish you all the best. So I know other countries, that's why they try and extend, for example, maternity leave and paternity leave, because they understand, number one, how the mind and body need time to adjust, and how the community also need time to be there for you. So those societies have understood. And that's why even data-wise, you'll notice they are largely healthier societies, even in their mental health. Doesn't mean they're perfect. It's just because they've validated the importance of that transition from very early on, and also given access to good services, access to safe delivery, access to, sometimes even you have a package, I think, when you come out of the hospital. So they've understood. They realized if we get this right from the very beginning, it'll spill over. But in a lot of other communities, it's just, number one, you should be expected to bounce back, and you should be expected to be ecstatic. The rest is on you. That's why you're burdensome and bothersome when you come with issues, when you have a difficult pregnancy. And a lot of people feel burdened, right? We've seen, unfortunately, what seems to be, and I wish I had the data, maybe it's not even there yet, a few cases of self-harm because you feel like a burden. You feel like a burden to those around you. So it comes back to what you're saying, comes back to community and the validation from the level of, this is a very important transition. Let's support not just mom and mom-to-be, but also community.
Right.
Otherwise, it's a lonely road. But yeah, on the flip side, it's still, from a point of access and privilege, it's still a beautiful thing. We had it right the way it was done before, knowing that, for example, moms coming to move in with their daughters, or mom-in-laws coming to move in with their daughters for that postpartum period, that was not accidental. But then we got modern and for some reason started thinking like, no, I have a nanny, why? And look at how it affected. I did 2 weeks. I was just like, I got this, 2 weeks. That's a mom. What's up? Because... And she told me, because I was Miss Independent, I got this. She's like, it's okay, you'll call me. Literally.
You called her.
She was like, I did. And again, privilege and access to even have a mom who, but yes, then that's when I realized, so I'm very big on telling people you don't have to move alone. You don't have to be superwoman. You can speak to having a community. But it's still a very big, that's why people go and have 9 more. You forget how stressful it was. Then you're like, oh,
this is nice.
This is so nice.
Another one.
I've just seen those images and videos of babies. I'm like, so cute.
Oh.
So you're like, oh my gosh, so cute. There's only 2 now. They're 3 years apart. Let's.
Jano.
Another one. Give us another banger.
Mali, last. That's why I don't say second born. I'm like, my last born.
Yeah. I want to put it here that I think we need to start looking at the thing that we were discussing with the Gloria Roba the other day and all. Let's look at our structures and systems. Because if our social support structures do not work, our family structures have challenges right now. And therefore, it comes to our other social support structures coming into work. If we don't sort those ones out urgently, we're going to have more and more problems. But thank you very much for following our conversations today, all our conversations on leadership, on integrity, on maternal mental health and all, as we're getting towards that, Mother's Day.
Yes.
This weekend.
Yes.
Kesho, kuna vile tutakuwa tukivaa mitumba, by the way. Kesho. Yeah. So we'll be taking our mic to the ground. We won't discuss between the Marianos. And we'll be going to, where is it? Gikomba.
Gikosh.
Sasa, if it does not rain, please, mtuombe, mvua isinyeshe ndio gari yetu iweze kufika hapo. If it does,
tutatupata hapa.
Tutaongea your story. But see you again tomorrow. Have a lovely day. It's Eric Latif, Mariam Bishar, and Janet Bogwa.
Thank you. Bye.